Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams and we're back with one of our 24/7 news report videos. I have a feeling, just a little feeling, we're going to see a lot more of these 24/7 news videos. Just a small inkling, especially over the next coming days with rumours and that. But we'll start off with our breaking news, and for all the mess that I think we're about to delve into, I am going to enjoy this one bit of happiness, and that is that Rafa Benitez has been sacked by Everton Football Club. That's right. It was obviously, I think majority of us knew this was going to happen. Majority of us have hated the last 4 months. It's over. It's finally over. That man is no longer in charge after an awful loss to Norwich. I obviously came on and told James, I think we could lose that game. We should be beating them, I said, but, and we should have been beating them. Norwich aren't a good football team by any stretch of the imagination. Richarlison's goal was incredible. Really disappointing that type of goal goes in, and fans are just dead because they know the mess the club's in, and there's nothing to like about Rafa Benitez's Everton at all. But that is behind us, so that is some good news. The club put out a very, very small statement. I know the statements haven't been great from the club in terms of Luca Dean, but this was a very small. Rafa Benitez has been sacked. We're looking for a new manager. Job done. No sentiment. Short, sweet, to the point. It was a dark, misclouded judgment by Managerial, who fully went in and backed it, and that will really damage him, I think, in terms of a lot of fans' opinions. I have a very, very big mark next to his name now for this, because it was a silly thing to have done. We've seen our head of medical out, we've seen our director of football out over him, we've seen Luca Dean out over him, and then we sack him literally a month later. All could have been avoided. All could have been, avoided. It's not like you need a crystal ball. I said it. A couple of you have said it. A couple of the lads on the channel said this wasn't a good idea when it happened. There were people in the media that said it wasn't a good idea. Literally everybody said Rafa Benitez at Everton will not work. It won't work. And it's only took, January, 4 months for Managerial to jump on board. But yeah, the good news is he's gone. We're now back to the Everton managerial circus. This comes around a lot quicker now. It's starting to feel a bit like Christmas, where it just comes around that little bit quicker every year. But we'll get into all that stuff as well, because the next couple of days are going to be really, really interesting, aren't they? We'll start with the first one from Football Insider, that Everton have sacked Rafa Benitez. This was yesterday, in the next 24 hours, and Duncan Ferguson and Leighton Baines are set to be interim charge. So it looks like Baines and Dunk might get the Aston Villa game if we've not found a manager by then. But as I move on through all the news, it starts to pick up quite rapidly. As of the last 10 minutes, I was still getting updates for this segment. It's moving quite quickly. The Telegraph was saying that Duncan Ferguson is in line for another stint as caretaker manager. Wayne Rooney and Roberto Martinez are in contention for the permanent role. I'll try and give as much of an opinion as I can, but there's a lot of news, so I've got to keep it rolling. We did run a poll on the Toffee Blues. Don't forget to follow them on Twitter so you can have your vote in it. Would you take Roberto Martinez back at Everton? 1,787 of you voted. 62% nope. 38% yes. I'll give my opinion on this a little bit later, because there's more news regarding Roberto Martinez. I voted no out of curiosity on this. I liked it. I liked him as in he's a nice guy. But for me, I didn't progress well enough at Belgium. They should have really been, winning a cup or two there with their golden generation. I'll get more into this, but the people who voted no, I think you're going to be disappointed. We then asked the same question about Wayne Rooney. 2,376 of you voted for that. 68% yes, 32% no. I'll just give a quick one on Rooney, because I'm not too sure if we go back into him. I agree with, I think Simon Jordan said a couple of weeks ago, in terms of management, he's a minnower. I think he's only just done his year at Derby. He's done an incredible job at Derby, credit where credit is due. Without their point deduction, he'd be 10th, 11th. Even with the ongoing problems, not just the point deduction, but the wages of the players and all that. He's done really well. If he escapes the drop with them, that will be an incredible achievement. And when the going gets tough, if a manager can pull something out like that, it shows their fortitude. I think he could be a great manager. I think there's an awful lot of romance there, that, you know, the likes of the people at the club would love and a couple of fans would love. I think it's a little bit too soon right now. Just a little bit too soon. But I wouldn't shut that door on Rooney forever. I think at some point he is going to be Everton manager. I think it's inevitable. I think it's too romantic to not be. I don't think he'll get his go this time. But even if he doesn't escape the drop with Derby and he stays with them and he gets them back up, you know, there's no reason why in 3 or 4 more years we will look at him again. I think he's going to be an incredibly good manager if he can continue this run of form. And he seems to be really have matured a lot more in the last couple of years. Rooney, he's paying the Derby people's staff, the back behind the scenes staff wages. He says in interviews that he wants a hard working team, players that want to be there, no melodramatics. You know, he says the right things that Everton fans would love to hear as well, which is why I think it's nailed on. Just think it's a little bit too soon in his career for me. The Telegraph also reported that we had sounded the Everton job out to Jose Mourinho. Again, we asked you, would you take Jose Mourinho at Everton? 6,000 of you voted this time. 64% of you said no. 36% said yes. We'll get on to Jose. We'll get on to Jose right now. I might as well stick with the Jose Mourinho news. He said it looks like that's not going to happen. That's a no-go for Jose Mourinho. I didn't think this would happen. In terms of, I don't think Jose was going to leave Roma. It's not brilliant for him right now, but it's not Mourinho disaster. Get out now stages yet. This, I've always thought, Mourinho's like one of those where we were bound to get him at some point. The stars always just were a little bit off alignment in terms of he is exactly what Managerial would love. A Hollywood manager, no longer in his peak, but still a big name to have in the dugout. Managerial would love it. I think he's escaped it a couple of times because every time this job's come available, he's got a different job before it. I think I still have this worry that he will be an Everton manager at some point. But I think we've avoided Mourinho for now. For what it's worth, I think he'd organise our defence. And I think he'd give some players the kick they need. But for the good season and a bit you'd have with Mourinho, I know it'd end in tears. And on his way out, he would upset us as fans. He would upset the board. He'd upset the players. I think Mourinho is a very demanding manager, very tough love. Trouble just seems to follow him. I think he's a world-class manager, but I don't think he's one of those that you admire from the outside. But yeah, we also have the news from Alan Myers that Duncan Ferguson, Graham Potter, Roberto Martinez, Rudy Garcia, Frank Lampard and Wayne Rooney are all being considered for the Everton position. Wayne Rooney has said that he's happy and focused at Derby, but it's understood he would find it very difficult to turn down the Everton job. That's come from Sky Sports News. I don't think that's a shock to hear. Just off that list, I would want Graham Potter, but I don't think he's going to come, and we'll get on to that a little bit later. And that's probably it, really. Graham Potter, Wayne Rooney saying that. I'd say this as well. I'd love for Rooney to just finish that chapter at Derby. Otherwise, I think he'd have that. Could I have escaped them? Could I got him, out of the relegation zone? He'll always have that. Not that it'll matter, because obviously he's an Everton fan and he, loves the club supposedly. His kids wear pyjamas and all that. So, if your boyhood club comes knocking and says, "Do you want to be the manager?" You're, regardless of the challenge and the ambition you've got, you're gonna look at it and go, "Oh God, yeah, like that's too much to turn down." But you can understand why he wants to stay focused at Derby. They've got a dogs fight, and I've got a lot of respect for him not wanting to jump out of it, and he wants to go, with that ship and fight. Even if he goes down with it, he's going to fight all his way with it, and I've got a lot of respect for that type of attitude. That's what you want to see from a person and a manager, so fair play to him for that. He could easily just go, "No, come get me, I'm off." We've got TalkSport now, who's saying that Everton have identified 2 front runners for the job. Like I said, this moves very quickly. I thought Rooney was a nail on as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, but it looks like, according to TalkSport, it's Martinez and Duncan Ferguson. I think regardless, Duncan Ferguson's going to still be in charge at Villa, but they're the 2 front runners from TalkSport. Slavan Bilic, this has come from 90 Minute Football, did put his name into consideration for the Everton position. I think what happened there is Slavan Bilic has put it in they've gone, right, next. Good. I've not seen enough of Slavan Bilic as a manager to even suggest giving him the job. In all honesty, I think he was harshly sacked by West Brom last season after they'd got a really good result against, I think it might have been United. I think that was a little bit harsh when Sam Johnston had like one of the best games that I've seen him have. But nowhere near, I'm not even suggesting the Everton job. No. Luckily, that's been thrown in the bin very quickly. I'm absolutely fine with that. We did have some breaking news now from Dominic King that says Roberto Martinez is now firmly in with a chance of being brought into the Everton job on a potentially interim basis. What an interim basis means, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit like Ralph Ragnick at United, where we're going to give him 6 months, say, see what you do till the end of the season. I will say this, that's a really good idea, giving whoever you pick a shorter contract. Clearly, Mashiri's had enough of paying off contracts. If you were going to do that, though, we should have done that when we had Allardyce, for example. I don't know if Martinez is the best choice to be given that type of interim basis for. I think he's only, at best, we're still only going to finish 12th. So I guess it depends on if we improve massively. I guess the main thing about the interim thing is Fahd Mashiri's sick of paying off contracts at Everton, which I don't blame him for. I think he's only just finished paying off Martinez's first lot of contracts, so it's bonkers. Sky Sports reported that Graham Potter isn't interested in Everton at all. Not shocked. Bit gutted, not shocked. Realistically, guys, Brighton, are still higher up the table. He's built that team over the last 5 years. He's had the backing from Brighton. The fans, I know they were a bit irked about him a month ago, but overall have stuck with him. He'd be a fool to leave now as well in the middle of the season. I'm not shocked that he doesn't want to come to us. I'm a bit gutted, like I said, but I'm not at all shocked about that. So we'll have to wait and see. Frank Lampard this has come from Simon Phillips, who's a Chelsea content creator. He said Frank Lampard would prefer to wait until the summer for his next role, so he'd get the pre-season and a transfer window. However, if Everton do come calling, Lampard would be keen to speak to him. I think he's cherry-picking jobs, not going to lie. He would happily come in the summer when he's got a window in that, he's cherry-picking, and I guess, as a manager, you do want to go in at the right time. You don't want to go in at a bad time because, the cards are already against you. Not me, not for Lampard for me. I'm going to say it now. If you're going to go for Lampard, I'd rather go for Rooney. He did okay at Chelsea under a transfer embargo, but then once he got some money, it didn't go quite as well. And Chelsea, I think, worked because he's Chelsea through and through, and I think that's why that worked. Derby did an okay job, but Rooney's doing a commendable job at Derby now. You could say that maybe he'd do better at Everton because he's Everton. Not through and through because obviously the whole United saga and drama, but he's Everton linked. I just don't think our fans would connect with Lampard as well either, and we need someone who our fans are going to connect with, aka Ferguson or even a Rooney. We'd connect with. Telly Football, so the Telegraph Football has said that Roberto Martinez has emerged as the clear favourite to make an extraordinary return as Everton manager. The Telegraph also said that Jose Mourinho turned down Everton to leave Roma. Duncan Ferguson would like to be considered on a full-time basis. Rooney has his supporters among the hierarchy. Niko Kovac is also a possible candidate, but it looks like Roberto Martinez is clear front-runner. I'll say there's a lot to unpack, and obviously I can't give my opinion on everything because there's so much and it all moved very quickly. So if you're a bit lost, basically Roberto Martinez favourite for the job. Rooney has his favourites in the hierarchy, so Ferguson would like it, and Kovac's a potential outsider. Everyone else has said they don't want it. I'll give my opinion on some of this now. If you asked me who I wish we'd go for, if we can't have Potter, I personally, as an outsider's choice, would really like Ralph Hasenhüttl. He plays pressing, direct football, gets in your face. I quite like the high pressing football. I think it's something that Goodison Park would really get behind. It's better than the possessive football. I like it if we were in your face, win the ball, direct, counter-attacking. No, not counter-attacking because you're counter-pressing direct football. I think Goodison would love that. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl is an achievable appointment. But from the list, there's no point talking about managers that we're not going to get. Otherwise, I could say, oh, I'd really like Pep Guardiola. So from the list we've got there, I mean, maybe Duncan Ferguson, in my opinion. I said in the summer no, because he's not got the managerial experience. But he would unite fans, and I think after the last 4 months, we need someone that fans are all going to be on side with. If you gave Dunk the interim instead of Martinez, hired a director of football, sorted the stuff at the back of the club out above the manager, sorted the mess at the club out, then got to the summer, and if Dunk's done a great job, give it him like they did with Ollie at United. If he hasn't, you don't fire him, but you say go back to where you were as an assistant, and we'll get someone else in, and we'll let the director of football do that. He gets in his man, done deal. That's how I'd like it. Rooney, again, like I've said about Rooney, I think he's got more experience than Dunk, ironically, in the fact that he's actually managed the team for a year, whereas Duncan Ferguson's only managed for 4 games. I know he's been an assistant to Carlo Ancelotti and stuff like that, but you don't get football in managerial talent through osmosis. You have got to go out and get work experience. And I think that would be the only cross against Ferguson, is that he's unknown in terms of tactical nous. But he would get the fans well on side. Rooney, I think, needs to just stay at Derby and see how that ends. I think he will be an Everton manager at some point, though. I think there's too much romance for that to never happen. Kovac, I don't know if he'll deal with the messing about at a higher level. Apparently he leaves jobs because he falls out with the powers that be. Never going to get on with our powers that be then. Especially with the meddling that's involved at Everton. So that leaves Roberto Martinez out of the ones that the board are looking at. I don't know, guys. The first season under him, I absolutely loved being a fan of Everton. It was fantastic. It was happy men. Don't get me wrong, I liked the Moyes era as well. I loved the fight we had then. Roberto Martinez's first season was like a dream. It was really, really good. There were some games, the Arsenal game where he put Lukaku at right mid. It was end to end. The last 2, and certainly his last season, it got nasty, it got toxic, it was going nowhere, it was side-to-side football, it ended on a real sour note. So I really don't know about this. The one thing I will say is that since Fahd Mejri's taken over, we've had 5 managers, £500 million, and right now, if we hire Martinez, we are slap bang at the same place as when he took over. Martinez, the manager, not broken into the European elite. I'd probably say we're slightly worse off now. Got a good squad, a good mix of a squad of a lot of young players, a couple of people who shouldn't be at the squad, but a lot of young players. Same as when Martinez took over, we had Stones and the likes of them, and Barkley and stuff. We had promising players then. We are exactly in the same spot. Fahd Mejri's investment has just put us slap bang in the same position, and that makes that should really question a lot of things at Everton. How you can come in, 4 managers, 5 managers difference, 500 million invested, and end up in the same spot that the club was in when you took it over. They are big red flags for me. That shouldn't be the way that it is. We should be progressing. Alas, though, we'll have to wait and see. I'll be back with some more updates probably. Like I said, it's this managerial merry-go-round comes around a lot quicker than nowadays. But let us know your thoughts on who you'd like as the manager. I tell you what we'll do is give me your dream manager, anyone in the world. So like you could say Simeone as well, who I'd absolutely adore. Or you could say, give me your dream one. Give me the one that's an outsider's choice that you think would work. So like I think Hasenhüttl would work. He's a bit of my outsiders. And then give me the realistic one you think we're going to get. So realistically now it looks like Martinez, but if you asked me 4 hours ago, I'd probably have said Rooney. Give me those 3, your dream, outsider's choice that you think would work really well that nobody speaks about, and your realistic one. And most importantly, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you very, very soon.